Hello, welcome to Skye Sweaty Record Review, episode 130. The only first listen new music review show hosted by a French professor immediately after leaving the YMCA. Now listen, this is my first listen of the album I'm going to be reviewing, Dépayser by Nyss, N-Y-S-S. But it's going to be a different kind of episode. You see, I've spent the whole week doing stuff I don't like doing. Reports and filing and data and all this stuff. So I want to take some of that work energy and put it into making a video that I actually have different parts to. That's right, it's going to be a 6-part episode. Well, it's going to be 5, but I made it 6 because, you know, I'm covering a black metal group and black metal, and so I figure, you know, kind of Satan-y 6 number. I don't know. This is the thing. If you've been watching the show, you know that I don't know anything about black metal. Or if I do know it, I've been keeping it pretty secret. I mostly review indie rock, hip-hop, EDM. Every once in a while I branch out into something else, but that's basically where I stay because that's the music that I enjoy and that I listen to. But I'm interested in other genres. And for a reason that I will unveil in part 5 of this video, why did I pick this one black metal group? In this video, I want to sort of explore what is black metal. Now, first of all, if you are a black metal fan, I want you to know one thing. I'm going to be reviewing this album and thinking that it is the essence of black metal. Am I wrong? Seriously, I sound like a buster saying this, but put it in the comments. Say, no, Skye, this is not the essential black metal album. You should listen to this or that. Who knows what. But what I want to do is sort of take this album. You know, I've never really listened to music like this on purpose. I've maybe heard it and break it down and really listen to it. So here are going to be the 6 parts. Part 1, Ignorance intro. Part 2, Satan and the French. Part 3, the unboxing. Yes, there's an unboxing. Part 4, the actual review of the album. Part 5, my unexpected connection to the band. And Part 6, Skye performs a Monty Python sketch. You may want to skip part 6. I'm just, unless you want to hear me do my Eric Idle impersonation, I would skip part 6. But we're not even close to there yet. So first of all, let's talk about ignorance. Now, ignorance is an important theme in this album. The last track of the album contains a quote from William Burroughs, the great poet. He talks about how there is no should in art. Like you should only have should in building bridges, which is a great way of saying it. And he says that art makes people aware of what they know and what they don't know, which I think is a really beautiful message, and I think it's true. And listening to a totally different genre of music, and what I think is a fairly adventurous and experimental version of that kind of music, teaches me a lot about what I don't know. You know? So what do I do when confronted with this ignorance? Well, the first thing I did, of course, was I went to Wikipedia. So I'm going to read to you the actual Wikipedia definition of black metal. That's why I have over 200 subscribers, because I read from Wikipedia on my videos. Okay, Wikipedia says, black metal is an extreme subgenre of heavy metal music. Common traits include fast tempos, a shrieking vocal style, heavily distorted guitars played with tremolo picking, raw, lo-fi recording, unconventional song structures, and an emphasis on atmosphere. Artists often appear in corpse paint and adopt pseudonyms. Okay, as far as I can tell then, maybe this album isn't that typical. I don't hear much shrieking in this. I hear mostly kind of guttural singing, a little bit of like super low, like singing, you know, like death metal singing. Oh, by the way, the whole idea of like taking one artist, that's what I did when I was in high school. I heard the term death metal, and I bought a Cannibal Corpse CD. Or was it Napalm Death? Napalm Death. I bought a Napalm Death CD, and I listened to it for like a couple weeks, and I'm like, okay, I think I understand what death metal is. So sometimes on this album, like you have that kind of low guttural, but there isn't much shrieking. There are fast tempos, but the thing that I think is most interesting in this definition of Wikipedia that applies to Nyss is the emphasis on atmosphere. It's a highly atmospheric album in a very pleasurable way. And also the unconventional song structures. Because there are up-tempo bits, there are down-tempo bits, there are bits with strings, there's silence, there's poetry. It's a very unconventional album. So there's my sort of initial introduction. Another thing I did, this album is not available, by the way, on most streaming services, I don't think, but it is on Bandcamp, so you should look it up. In case it's not clear, I think you should listen to this album. It's not obnoxious, so if you don't like black metal, or if the term black metal makes you think, ew, I don't want to listen to black metal, don't worry about that. It's very listenable, it's very good. To give you an idea of like how funny it was to choose this album to review, I want to read to you in Bandcamp, they allow, if you actually pay money for music, you can leave a review that everyone can read. So I want to read to you what this one person said, just to show you how complete my ignorance is. Okay, this is from a guy named Brian3737. Whether you're a Behemoth fan, a Sadness fan, a Jute fan, or a Rotting Christ fan, there's something here for you. That much variety is on display here, and more besides. This album will definitely come to be considered a classic. I've played it a half dozen times, and it came out today. So I don't know, just reading that made me laugh. It reminded me of that Monty Python sketch, Rock Notes, where they go through the list of all the different band names that don't actually exist. As far as I'm concerned, Behemoth and Rotting Christ are just made up by this guy. I have no idea who they are. I have no frame of reference. But I take it seriously that somebody who does know who they are emphasizes the variety on this album. And that's got to be the hallmark of this album, I imagine. Because it goes... Every song is like some kind of crazy long adventure. It's like it starts one place and then goes somewhere else. There's only 4 tracks on the entire album. They're like 11 minutes, 7 minutes, 7 minutes, 11 minutes, something like that. But yet there's often cohesion, but it's like a long journey. Each song is a long journey. That's what Wikipedia calls unconventional song structure. Now there are a couple issues. A couple potential problems I have with this album. So for that, I'm going to go to part 2. So for the potential problems, the thing about black metal and about a lot of themes on this album is that it's very into Satan and the devil, and very much not into Christ. There's like kind of random things that are talked about with like tearing off the cross, and Let the Devil In is the first track. And I thought about this a lot. And it's made me think of a couple things. One, it makes me think about in The Big Lebowski, where Walter's mad at the nihilists. And he says, say what you will about the National Socialists, but at least it's an ethos. So, like, say what you will about Satanists, but at least they have a pretty firm belief in what they think. Also, most Satanists that I've met are good Christians. And most people who I know who would call themselves good Christians are evil. So, it's a whole question of terminology. By that I mean, like, most Satanists I know are just good people. They look out, they're compassionate, they're usually like socialist or at least pretty left-leaning. And then a lot of people who call themselves really good Christians are very self-serving, hypocritical, and hateful. So, I don't know. I think it's all just a question of terminology. I often also think of Bart Simpson's line that all the good music is aligned with Satan. This is a painting that I really like. It's by Duccio, the Sienese artist. And it's the part where Jesus says, "Get behind me, Satan." It's a nice moment. I have it up here by my front thing here, along with my American flag. That was for the Memorial Day parade. That's not usually there. I put it there to be funny. But then another funny thing here is this is something that my son found in the parking lot of the gym where I go in my workouts. And it says, you see here, okay, so it's at the YMCA, and it says, "Nice try, Satan." But my son thought it was nice, try Satan. Like, there's another choice, another thing you could do. So, I don't know. It's an interesting challenge for me. I consider myself a Christian. I go to church, 20 times a year. I take it pretty seriously to listen to music that is theoretically so against what I believe, but I'm not sure it is as much. Now, my real problem is the name of the album is Dépayser, which means like uncountryed in French. It's a term they have, like uprooted, taken out of your home country. Like it literally means dé, which means out of, and then payser, which means country. So like uncountrified, like it's an interesting French term. And I was really hoping that this band, was French, like Rabelais or or Proust, Le Petit Prince, but they're not. They're British. So that's a little disappointment. So those are my big disappointments with the album. Oh, okay, now the dogs are barking. Let's go to part 3, which is the unboxing. For reasons that will become clear in part 5, I actually bought the album, and it's sent to me from England. And I like doing unboxings because I really think that we as a society and a culture are not doing a good enough job of supporting artists. You know, we say we want to support artists, but then basically any money that we spend just goes to companies and corporations, and Disney and all that stuff. So I bought the deluxe vinyl of this album. The deluxe colored vinyl of this album, which you can too on Bandcamp for 20 euros. I don't know. I think it's worth it. I'm pretty excited. So, here we go. Ta-da! Wait, this isn't the deluxe vinyl. Huh, maybe they sent me the wrong one. Oh no, it is. Okay, well let's see. Did I get the deluxe vinyl? Did they mess up? Alright, so I'm going to open this up here with my knife. So you got the nice cover art there. Looks like it's some rotting teeth with some chicken bones. You know, nice pleasant stuff. Oh look, there's the rotting teeth on the back. Very lit, fam. Got some nice poster art here. Sweet. All right. Let's see if I got the color. Oh, I did. All right. Ta-da! Nice gold vinyl. So I got this, and the good thing is I really like this album. And it'll really confuse people who are really into heavy metal if they come over. It's like, I don't have anything else, but I have like this really cool British black metal. Before I play it, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play you I'm going to go through track by track and say what I like, what I don't like about it. But in general, this is my take on the album. And I don't know if this is true for all black metal. In the first section of the video, you saw that I had a Black Sabbath record behind me. The feeling that I get is that black metal is like, if you know the song Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath off of the album Black Sabbath, it feels to me like it's trying to take that song, that atmosphere, that dynamism, those chords, and just explode it. Like just take that one song and the way that it made you feel when you first heard it when you were 14 years old. And the thematics of evil and darkness and Satan and the tritone, you know, it uses the 3 tones, dong, 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 that were, I was totally out of tune, that were actually used and considered evil by the church in the Middle Ages. You know, that like, that feeling, if you could take that feeling and explode it into an entire genre, that's what this album feels like. And that's a really high compliment. Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath off of Black Sabbath is one of my favorite songs of all time. And I'm not like some metalhead, you know, I'm not, I own, 4 Black Sabbath albums. I'm not really into it, right? It's not really my thing. But I can recognize that like the feeling that that song gives you, I haven't really felt until I listen to this. And maybe that's what people who listen to black metal like. Again, if you're someone who likes it, please tell me, am I wrong? It's like Black Sabbath, it's like lame. We hate Black Sabbath. They're just stupid. I don't know. But that's how a lot of this made me feel. And in particular, it's the song structure of Black Sabbath, where, you know, it starts so slow and with the rain and with the tones, and then it just gets progressively harder, and you feel like this kind of like tension, and you feel this sort of, I don't know, like foreboding. Like how they're able to create that in the music is how I felt for the most part in this album, Dépayser, the lamentably not French album by Nyss. So let's kind of go track by track, and I'll play you how it goes. So the first track on the album is called Let the Devil In. And this is the best example of what I'm talking about with the journey that happens on this record, where it just goes all over the place. You know, there's like quiet parts with strings, there's loud parts with the drums, you know, that kind of stuff. The instrumentation, the musicality on this album is outstanding, right? I mean, the drummer is great. And what I really like about the drumming, actually, on the album, is that when I listen to death metal, it just makes me tired as a drummer, you know, because it's just every song is just, you know, their foot, you know, the whole time. it's too much. Take it easy. This, I don't know if this is representative of black metal, there's some of that. You know the drummer could do that if he wanted to the whole time. But, and the guitars could do all they want, right? But it doesn't feel like that all the time. And I think that's what gives it the atmosphere, the ability to sort of breathe and go from part to next part. So I think what I'll do is move on. I think I'll play you a little selection from Let the Devil In off of my colored vinyl. All right, so I'm playing the track now, and you can hear this guitar line. That's the thread that pulls the whole track together. That kind of like atonal, atypical follows all the way through the song. So I'll move it forward a little bit on the actual album. We'll put it down. We'll see what happens now. It's the same song, right? And turn it up a little bit. The dog is not happy. It's okay. He bugs me all the time. So, if you like that, if you notice, it kind of starts and then moves on, and then so that's the first track. Let the Devil In. One second, I'm gonna grab my notes here. It starts mid-tempo, and then it kind of goes up higher, goes the same speed, and then growling, and then at the end, it actually, we'll see if I can find it on the vinyl here. It actually gets a little bit hopeful at the end. It actually kind of like hits like non-minor notes. Right here, do you hear it? It's actually kind of a nice resolution. It's not like as atonal and dissonant as the rest of it. So maybe, I don't know, if you let the devil in, it's less painful? I don't know. Okay. So that's the first track. The next track is called Bitter Tears and Grave Dirt. Now, this is my least favorite track on the album. And I like it, but it's my least favorite track. And what's funny is that it's like the first 6 minutes just aren't that great. I mean, it's interesting because you hear here that they have an orchestra, not an orchestra, but a little string quartet playing, And it's nice. And it kind of keeps going. But really, I think you have to wait at least 6 minutes of the song for it to really pick up. That's where the guitar work and the drumming just get awesome. It basically becomes almost a different song. There's even a point where there's just a pause and a break. This is one of the main thematics of the album. It appears to be about death and about life, and it's talking about how, just sort of, why not die? So I'll play you a little bit from the end of this after I think it gets better. Actually, that's still not my favorite part. So, in the end, it has that. It has that nice sort of uplifting ending, kind of like the first one. And there's lots of dynamics where it goes from the growl to just the singing to just the speaking. But I want to skip. I want to go to the next track because the next track has my favorite thing on the album, and that is actually probably my favorite song on the album, which I will get to when I flip it over. That favorite song is called "Face Down in the Blood and Piss." And my dog doesn't like that title either. I like it though. I mean, it's sort of the theme of the album. Face down in the blood and piss. This is why we exist. I mean, hey, at least it's an ethos. What's fun about this song is it starts off like what I thought the whole thing would be, which is kind of like a death metal, right? I'll just play you the beginning of it here. Okay? But my favorite part of this song isn't this beginning with this death growl, right? It's actually later in the song. enjoying this death metal adventure, by the way? I'm having fun going through this album. Okay, my favorite part is actually like halfway through it, where he just repeats over and over again, you and I. And then strings come in, and then the sound builds up. And it's a really beautiful, beautiful song. And I don't know, I mean, I get it. It's called Face Down in Blood and Piss. You're not exactly expecting a moment of transcendent joy and beauty in art. But anyways, I'll just play a little bit of this. Just this you and I, and then the strings coming in. Hopefully I can find it on the vinyl. It's a lot easier on the computer. But you see, I bought this record. I'm going to have this record forever on my hi-fi, and I'm psyched. Okay, so I had to edit this a little bit here. So here's the you and I part that I like. So listen here. I'm going to go get the album while you listen. I mean, you hear the strings, these interesting, like, weird rhythms, you know, there's a lot of, like, non-4/4 stuff. The strings come in and the guitar. It's awesome. It's awesome. It's awesome. All right, I'm not going to play anymore. You just got to buy the album or listen to it on Bandcamp, okay? Because it just does that for a while. A very satisfying album. The last track... Okay, one second. I got to change it so I'm not, like, leaning down. I had it all like that so you could see me film it. As long as there's no, like, weird Christmas Smurfs behind me, I should be just fine. There's the last track is called No There's Art in Death. That's really one of these themes of the album, this kind of like existential nihilism. It's got a nice poem in the middle where you can hear the lead singer just like talking, you know, talking about the pain of existence and how we're all nailed to a twisted tree and the vines are growing in our brains. And it sounds like I'm making fun of it. I'm not actually making fun of it. I think that there's a really important space in all of us to connect with these emotions, like these themes of decay and death and darkness, even if it's not, you know, even if I would be more likely, you know, to listen to Walking on Sunshine. I think it's important that we can actually connect to these emotions, even if we don't live in them. You know, I don't wake up and put on corpse paint and worship Satan, you know. I'm walking in the light of the Lord, you know. But I think it's great that music can connect us with these themes. It's like poetry, you know? It's like, I mean, I love Baudelaire, right? The French poet. I mean, the guy was a jerk, and he writes mostly about, you know, putrescence and death and life and love and all that stuff. And I'm not saying Nyss is as good as Baudelaire, no offense. But I think there has to be a space in our heart for this darkness and decay. And I think this album really fills that for me, and I'm really happy about that. And in this last track, that's the one where they quote William S. Burroughs, in case you confuse him with the other William Burroughs. And that's just a really nice quote from him. And it talks a lot about how, you know and what you don't know is what you learn from art. And he made this weird comparison to people in the Middle Ages who lived on the shore. They knew that the world was round, but they believed that the world was flat because they had to have that dissonance because of the church. Just something to think about. It's quite interesting. Okay, so I'm not going to give a 3-word review of this album because this video is already called Skye's Black Metal Adventure and that you're taking it on with me. But if this is what black metal is, then I certainly like it. If this is a good example of forward-thinking, experimental black metal, then I want to know more. You know, maybe I should look up those bands like Jute Gin and Sadness, Rotting Christ. You know, I'll check them out because this gives me that place for the rotting teeth in the moss, and it helps me feel like I'm in that Black Sabbath space. By the way, Black Sabbath, by Black Sabbath, off of Black Sabbath, one of the greatest songs of all time. Bad Company on the album Bad Company by the band Bad Company, one of the worst songs of all time. You just can't predict these things. Okay, let's get to... Okay, so that's part 4. That was my actual review. Oh, part 5. My unexpected connection to this album, and I'm going to preach at you a little bit about buying music. Part 5, my unexpected connection to this band. You see, the lead singer of the band Nyss is someone I've known for like 15 years. But I don't know him as a singer. I know him as a dude. And this is a dude who's some guy in England who is the world's foremost expert. You're not going to expect this, okay? Lead singer of that band, you and I, face down in the blood and piss. The lead singer of that band, I know best as the world's foremost expert on Star Wars dolls. Large size action figures, like these two from my collection here. You see, you have the American one over here, and then you have the actual French one, Nyss. See how it's in French? Because it's from France. It's okay. So that's how I know him. So he's just a cool guy who's helped me out. He's been on my podcast a couple times, and he helped me figure out whether or not I should buy that actual figure 13 years ago. And the preachy bit here is just, you need to support your friends who make art. I don't care if you like it or don't. I'm lucky that I like this music, okay? I've bought plenty of albums from friends of mine whose music I don't like. But we need to be supporting each other. There's so much creativity out there. There's so much access to art and music and YouTube channels and podcasts and all this stuff. Why are we not supporting each other more? Why are we just folding our arms and just rewatching The Office again? I get it, The Office is awesome. But like, at least if you have a friend who you know from collecting Star Wars dolls, who releases an awesome black metal album, or even a bad black metal album, if this were bad, of course it's worth $20. That's how it keeps things going. So if you have a friend in your life, you know, and they're like, my band just released like an EP on Bandcamp, go in and spend the $10. It's so hard to sell an album. It's so hard to sell art right now. Everything is free. Everything is on demand. And anyways, that's my plea. So that's how I know about the band Nyss. And now my life is richer for it. And I will legitimately listen to this album because I like it, not because my Star Wars doll friend is the lead singer. We also end up getting into a lot of fights on Facebook about Christianity. So that's a fun thing. Okay, and now, oh yeah, one more thing about listening to friends' music. I just want to tell a funny story. One time I was playing my music for a friend of mine, and I got so nervous about playing it for him that I didn't realize I was in reverse instead of in I thought I was in drive, and I was actually in reverse, and I crashed into his car. And I ended up having to pay him like $800 to fix his car. And he didn't even like the album. Sadness. Okay, so now I'm going to read that Monty Python thing because I warned you. Okay, part 6. Part 6. Face down in the blood and piss. I came back from the gym and I was just singing that. Face down in the blood and piss. And I had all my nice dogs going around. And my fiance was hanging out in the kitchen. And I was like, face down in the blood and piss. We need that space in our heart. Part 6. Skye reads some Monty Python. So when I read that thing from Brian3737, whether you're a Behemoth fan, a Sadness fan, a Jit fan, or a Rotting Christ fan, there's something here for you. It reminded me of this sketch where Monty Python just goes through rock notes. So here we go, in my best Eric Idle impersonation. Dead monkeys ought to split up again, according to the manager, Lefty Goldblatt. They've been in business now 10 years, 9 as other groups. Originally, the dead salmon, they became for a while trout, then fried trout, then poached trout in a white wine sauce, and finally, herring. Splitting up for nearly a month, they reformed as red herring, which became dead herring for a while, and then dead loss, which reflected the current state of the group. Splitting up again to get their heads together, they reformed a fortnight later as Heads Together. A tight little name which lasted them through a difficult period when their drummer was suspected of suffering from death. It turned out to be only a rumor, and they became Dead Together, then Dead Gear, which led to Dead Donkeys, Led Donkeys, and the inevitable split-up. After nearly 10 days, they reformed again as Soul Marnier, then Dead Soul, then Rock Cod, Turbot, Haddock, White Baith, The Places, Fish, Bream, Mackerel, and Helen Shapiro. The last name, their favorite, had to be dropped following an injunction, and they split up again. When they reformed after a record-breaking 2 days, they ditched the fishy references and became Dead Monkeys, a name which they stuck with for the rest of their careers. Now, a fortnight later, they have finally broken up. I warned you. Till next time, buy your friends music. And there's the camera.